Everybody ready?
Yep.
Coming to you from Charlottesville, Virginia, Willow Talk. With your hosts, Andrew Carter and Ben Fry.
Hey Andrew.
Hey Ben.
Who do we have here today?
Well, we got Nish. Nish, how you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty good.
You're on our Android team, right?
Yep, I am an Android developer here with you guys at Willow Tree.
What do you have to show us today?
So today we're going to talk about instant apps.
Instant apps.
What is an instant app?
All right, so instant apps. Okay, so instant apps are a way to get users into the native app experience as quickly and as seamlessly as possible without basically any friction. So you get little chunks of your application on demand. And they're all powered by links. So like you can share a link with your friends, and the moment they click on it, boom, right there, they basically get the native app experience without having to install the app.
So can a normal app have parts of it be an instant app, or is it always the whole app? Like, what's the criteria for?
All right, I gotcha. So what you do is if you have like existing code, you split up your application into little tiny modules, and you can expose some of those modules as instant apps or the entire thing. So there are a couple of restrictions, the most important one being that your modules have to be less than 4 megabytes in size.
Okay.
So you don't really have a lot of room, but it's still pretty powerful, and there's like a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with it.
So I guess the idea is like a really quick engagement to where you can get people without having to go through the friction of the app store and searching for stuff.
Exactly.
It's a quick download. You can get like the content that matters right then and there. And I guess is there some easy mechanism to, if you wanted to then get the entire app, is there an easy way to like, actually I do want the full app experience?
Yeah. So part of the design guidelines is you should ideally have a button to install the full app. This is done via the Google Play API, where the moment you click on it, it pops up this little dialog that says, "Hey, would you like to install the full application?" You click on it, and then now you have it on your phone.
So does each module have like its own URL, or does it divert which module you're going to?
Yeah, they're powered by deep links. So if you've ever supported deep linking in your application, it is very, very similar. So you still have the concept of you're going to have like a URL scheme, and say, for example, so a good one would be example.com/items would be handled by a different part of the app, as opposed to example.com/store or something else would be handled by another part of the app.
So those are different modules that would meet that 4 megabyte limit. Like you could have like your 4 megabyte module for viewing items versus viewing stores versus viewing. Okay. So I guess that would work with if you're like if I Googled like pets, like dogs, and like dog.com, and I clicked on it to look at that specific dog, instead of opening it up in the, would it be a seamless like right into my little app module thing, or does it prompt you?
Yeah. So if you were using Chrome and you Google searched something, if there is an instant app available, right on the search result, there's going to be there's going to be the word instant over there. So if you click on that, then what happens is the URL is basically forwarded over to the instant app, and then it knows which modules are suited to handle it.
So if once you're in a module, are you able to go to other modules from within that, like sort of
That's interesting.
do the native, like the full native experience without?
Yes. Yeah. So
the
if
whole
you
thing?
So if you are in a module, you can navigate to other modules. So what happens is you end up with like a tiny loading overlay, sort of like what you would experience in Chrome. So it basically, there's like a little white mask, and then at the very top of it, you have like a loading bar, and then you're just instantly taken to the other module.
That's actually a really smart idea. And that's cool too if like I can think of use cases where if you already have an existing website, maybe there's some other content you want to add that would be a better experience in the app. You can almost have like, 3/4 of your website be a website, then 1/4 would be an app, and it would just hop back and forth, and you really wouldn't even notice that much, I guess, once it had it loaded, right?
Well, ideally, if you have an instant app available, you never want to kick the user off into your website.
So you want to kind of keep them there
you
once
want
you
to
got them.
keep them inside of the Instant App. So like part of the design guidelines are you want your Instant App experience to be identical to the native app experience.
Okay.
So the user should never really feel like, hey, I'm missing out without downloading the app. Some of the better use cases that I feel like we've come up with internally at WillowTree is more like situations where the user generally wouldn't have the app installed already. So, for example, Austin and I were in Durham recently, and we were at the parking garage. And in order for him to pay for parking, he had to download the app and create an account,
Right.
sign in, and then provide his payment information. And it took us about 6-7 minutes standing inside of the parking garage because we kind of needed his license plate number and the spot where he's parking. So situations like that, if an Instant App was available, all you would really need to do is click on a URL and instantly you are put into the app. Instant Apps require Google Smart Lock for authentication. So he could have just selected a Google account and had his, sign up, basically his authentication information filled in. And they also require the Google Payments API, so his credit card information would also automatically be filled in.
So you don't have to, like, in the best use case then, with your Instant Apps, you already have an account basically because you're using your Google account, so it's very, very seamless.
Exactly. So
And particularly when you're like visiting another town, like you don't need to have that app probably after you've gone
Right.
back home. You don't need the parking garage app for.
So things like stadiums or gas stations or like museums and that kind of stuff makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. So this is about reducing user friction in completing actions. So whenever you want to do something, the user should just be allowed to do what they want to do as frictionlessly as possible.
Makes a lot of sense. And I think, spoiler alert, you've got that little hardware there.
Yep.
So if you wanted to avoid having to like scan the QR code or type in a link or something, I guess this makes it even more seamless. So how does that interact?
So what we have here is it's a Bluetooth beacon. So this is a Rad Beacon dot by Radius Networks, and this basically supports the Eddystone protocol. So what this is, so Eddystone beacons basically they broadcast a URL continuously. So whenever the user or goes in range of one of these beacons, the Google Nearby API supports Eddystone beacons. So what happens is they get a notification saying, "Hey, there's something cool nearby." So the Google Nearby API or Google Nearby is something very similar to the physical web, if you guys have ever heard of this. The physical web is basically powered by Bluetooth beacons. So the idea being you walk up to something and you can interact with it in some way using a URL. So you walk up to, for example, a parking meter, or you walk up to, so in a museum, you walk up to a painting and then you get a notification saying, "Hey, there's a website that has information or a website that allows you to interact with these objects."
Mhm.
So we combined this with our demo Instant App over here. So anyone that walks in range, and this is actually live right now, it's happening. Anyone that walks in range of this beacon gets a notification saying, "Hey, our app is available." And once they click on the notification, they're immediately brought into the native app.
So they say it. Can you show us there on? Is it so in your notifications story? Just kind of, does it actually like will give you like a little ding or a vibrate or something, or is it just if you're looking at it? How does that work out?
So this is basically just a regular notification. So I basically have Google Nearby, basically the physical web, the app installed, mostly because I want this notification to pop up whenever it is that I want it to. With Nearby, when you dismiss it, it takes a little while for it to pop up again. It's trying to avoid bugging you about information that you've already seen. So to turn it on, all I really need to do is just click on it over here, and then there's this little light that flashes. I don't know if it should have been on this side. It would have flashed green saying I turned it on, and then it flashes red to say it's being turned off. So what happens is that I get this notification over here that says, "Hey, the physical web." So our app is called Bumblebee. It's basically kind of like what we were going for is basically the Willow Tree Craigslist kind of thing. So we get a notification that says Bumblebee, the Instant App experiment, is nearby. And so the moment I click on this, I just get the Instant App loading screen, and just like that,
That was quick.
yeah, it's really fast. I'm brought into the native app experience, and all of this is coming from Google Play right now. I don't have anything installed. This is not a test app. This is the live app right
So it's
now.
just being stored in memory.
Yeah.
For the time being, until you were to decide that you wanted to install the full app.
Yes. So right now it's basically just living. It's kind of like a temporary. It's kind of like a temporary tenant on my phone. So the moment I exit out of the app. It's cached for a little while. There is something called the eviction strategy, where the device kind of decides how long the Instant App is going to continue to remain there.
So if it needs space,
Yeah,
it'll
exactly.
clean it up.
If it needs space or if it expires, then it basically just cleans it out.
That's really slick. Have you seen any other companies? Like, what's the coolest implementation you've seen of this so far? Well, I guess it's pretty new, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is it out in the public or who?
Yeah, so I was previously I was aware of at least 24 companies had Instant Apps available. The most popular of which would have been the New York Times. Their crossword puzzle that was all over the news for a while. But during the announcement at Google I/O, the developer keynote, they mentioned that there were 50 apps available. So everything from Wish.com has an Instant App for their basically to enhance their shopping experience. Zillow also has an Instant App available for real estate. Dotloop, they do real estate contract signing. They also have an Instant App available. BuzzFeed was demoed during Google I/O last year. So there are a lot of really great apps out there.
So this is out in the wild. Anybody can use it right now, or is it just a select number of people they've given the opportunity?
Right now, if it's slowly being rolled out to consumers. If you were to Google, say something like Zillow, you're going to get the URLs in Chrome. Whenever you click on it, it's going to be like, hey, do you want to participate in Instant Apps?
Oh, cool.
And you have the ability to select whether or not you want to enable the Instant App
Right.
feature. But if you want to turn it on your own, just go to the settings under the Google settings menu. There should be an Instant Apps category. All you need to do is turn it on.
I think that there's so many cool use cases for that. I love how you don't have to, like, removing the App Store, the Google Play Store from the install workflow is huge. I was thinking with Zillow, like even just if you're walking to rental properties and stuff with with your Bluetooth beacons, the ability to just pull up that property in the app without having to do anything.
Yeah.
Like there's been so many times where you'll see these little ads for apps or ads for experiences, and you got to think, oh, I've got to sign in, get the app, download it, make my account,
Yeah.
and you just don't do anything. But if it just happens,
Well, and also the nice thing about, since these work kind of like deep links, you don't lose that context from where
Right.
you were to installing the app and then opening it. It should just take you right to where you were trying to go anyway, which is really cool.
Does this is this part of the Google Play Services stuff, or does this need a certain version of Android? How does that work? Like, what's the requirements for my device for that?
So right now, what was planned is they're going to support L and above. However, they are working on backports to older Android versions. So this is powered by Google Play Services, meaning there is a pretty good chance that older devices are also going to get them. I'm sorry, what was the other part of the question?
I guess there's no hardware requirement, right? I guess for the Bluetooth stuff, you have to have, your phone device just for was it the low energy stuff
Yeah,
or whatever.
Bluetooth low energy. Yeah, so in terms of hardware, no. It's mostly all software implementation.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I hope
guess
Apple-
since it's a URL, you can put it pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, you could use a classic QR code, I guess, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Have you heard? I haven't heard any rumors of Apple doing anything similar. I wonder if they'll. I guess WWDC is coming up, so maybe.
Yeah, I suspect that Apple is going to implement something similar, mostly because it is just such a great idea, and there are so many different use cases. Because what excites me the most is there is now so much opportunity for basically adopt Instant Apps in ways that wouldn't have made sense basically to have an installed app. Like for example, I was talking to Show the other day, and we're like, hey, you know what would be cool is if I went to a restaurant and there was a beacon where I tapped on it and I got the menu and I could basically get my order without ever needing to interact with
Right.
it later.
Yeah.
And
I
so-
guess like, lots of places have that now, but it's again that pain of you go to Starbucks, get the Starbucks app, make your Starbucks account, sign in with your Starbucks account, and then like by the you could have just gone and ordered by then.
Exactly, and not for just that, but also payments. So I don't have to bring out a credit card. You don't have to explicitly have a tap to pay terminal. I could just pay using
Right.
the API on the Instant app.
That's awesome.
So I guess the hardest part is breaking down your app into 4 megabyte chunks, right? I mean,
And I think for Android, because the way activities work, I guess it shouldn't be so long as you've kind of made decoupled your code well enough. It should be pretty easy to add that support for different workflows, right?
Yes. So if you've decoupled your app enough, and if your application is pretty modular, it shouldn't be too difficult to kind of refactor everything. But then again, there are always unforeseen surprises.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. However, what has been a pain in a lot of cases is basically shrinking down the modules to under 4 megabytes, because some of the libraries that we use, if you think about ad frameworks and analytics frameworks, those tend to be pretty large. And so you kind of have to really go back and reevaluate, what are my priorities in terms of gathering metrics on how the user's using the app. So a good way to think about this is in terms of actions. So what kind of actions, or what is the action that my user is trying to complete, and how can I follow that in terms of gathering up analytics? So if you're a video playing app, you shouldn't be that concerned about how often does the user seek, or how frequently do they rotate the device, but more like are they actually watching videos?
So I guess it's very use case oriented, I suppose. You're trying to look into what did I intend for them to be able to do? Were they able to do it? Did it work? Did it
exactly
all of that kind of
exactly. That's the most important thing, which would be was the user able to accomplish whatever action that they set out to do?
Right.
And from basically a data gathering point of view and a business point of view, those are extremely important, and that's what we think you should focus on. So you don't need 7 analytics clients.
You're talking like this has happened before.
how does the Google Analytics library stack up size-wise? Is it a hefty chunk? Do they have an instant app version?
Well, yeah, it used to be. So Google basically took the initiative here to provide a Google Analytics Lite. So if you're already using Google Analytics in your app, you can use a Lite version, which is really slimmed down for the instant, basically for the instant apps. Firebase Analytics is also supported, and that's basically what Google is pushing right now.
Sure.
So if you haven't implemented analytics in your app, Firebase Analytics is the way to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they're also talking to other analytics providers to basically help them try to find ways to kind of modularize and shrink down their libraries. This is generally going to be the future of library development on Android. Basically, Android-centric library development. So what you want to do is, as a library vendor, you want to make sure you shrink down and modularize your libraries as much as you can. So Exoplayer is a good example where they kind of broke it up into little pieces. So if you're just interested in the HLS streaming capabilities, you don't necessarily need all of the other stuff that it provides, and so you can just include that in your application.
Nice.
I guess and then that kind of pushes a better experience for both the user and for the business. It's apps like Facebook on iOS now is it's up there.
They're large.
Yeah. So it's nice for it's 4 megabytes is nothing. You can get that quick, and then so the business is a win because they're able to get more interactions with their app than normal for the users. They're able to frictionlessly get in there. It's nice and fast. Doesn't take up too much room.
Is there space restrictions after they've installed that 4 megabyte? For instance, pulling down images that you would then cache or whatever.
At that point, once the user has the instant app, it behaves just like any other app.
Okay.
So you're subject to pretty much the same kind of restriction as it is that you would have. So if you tried to basically pull up a giant image, then there's a very likely chance that you might end up with like an out of memory exception or
Right.
something like that.
But that is a good way if you needed if you did need to load in some stuff after the fact, you could like conditionally,
Could
if
be
they travel to
overlaid.
that part of the app, you could load in those other parts of the resources.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool, man.
Yes.
Thanks for
It's
showing us
really
this.
cool,
I do
yeah.
hope iOS gets something like that. 'Cause
Yeah, I
this
know.
makes a lot of
Sounds
sense,
Super awesome.
especially with apps being like like I remember back in the old days, I'd be able to like go to the app store and just like browse for new stuff and check things out. But now the library is just so giant that it's hard to like, I don't know. It's discovering new stuff is so tough. But with this, you can just kind of stumble your way into it and
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you need it.
Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, so stumbling, basically sharing. So the opportunity for organic like user growth is
Right.
huge.
yeah, and that's what's gotten so hard these days, and that's perfect for so many of our clients. Just the ability to kind of walk into it and like almost not even know you're using an app.
Pretty cool.
Awesome,
Thanks
man.
for showing it to us.
All right.
And we'll put some code for your project up on GitHub.
Yeah, so the project Bumblebee is open source. It's under the Willow Tree repository. We call it Android Instant Apps Demo to make it easy for everybody to find. And yeah, we'll add a link in the description.
Awesome. Thanks for talking to us today, man.
Thank you for having me.